Hello, everyone.
It's a new look panel.
Welcome to Must Play. And Meso's here.
Hello.
And Santo is not here.
I'm not saying
But where could he be, I wonder?
You're warming his seat, Fish.
You know,
I'd sit
he's
with
probably at the pub somewhere, forgetting about us, drowning his sorrows.
Bloody Santo. Always doing drinking before the podcast. I don't know.
Santo, are you there?
Let's bring
Hey,
him
oh,
in.
there. Oh,
Oh, I'm definitely here. Sorry, I was a little bit too close to the screen. I was trying to work out how and I was going to hear you at all, because I'm all the way in Mildura, where it's super hot, but I needed to be here to talk everything that has been announced this week. I mean,
Santo, it's been a big
huge
week.
guys.
Looks like you got the Misters crank behind you too, you big wimp.
Yeah, strategic positioning. All right, I've run out of drink. I've run out of beverage. It's 45 degrees here. So I've positioned myself underneath the demisters. Hopefully they don't destroy my phone before the podcast is over, and we'll be all good.
We'll have a wet sound at the end of this.
Well, Santo, we've had a big week, but we had a big night last night, especially. All of us went to see the new Star Wars film, The Rise of Skywalker. And I gotta say, I think across the board, we're all pretty happy.
yes. I think that's pretty safe
We'll
to say.
we'll quickly chat about it before we get into anything else, because we do have a little bit more to talk about. But Star Wars, what's our initial reactions? No spoilers, please, because it's only come out today, so people are only going to be seeing this for the first time. So,
Well, let's start with you, Santo, since you were on the other end. What was your first reactions?
No, sure. Look, when I walked out of the cinema with all of you last night, we had fun. There's no denying, after 2 hours and 40 minutes or whatever, we had fun. There were some great bits. Like, I loved some of the new force powers that they bring in, some of the interesting ways that they had them use light speed. Really, really cool character development. And I really loved the fact that for the first time we saw Poe, Finn, and Rey essentially go on an adventure together. And it felt good. In hindsight, it felt rushed. And I know that JJ had a huge task ahead of him to try and wrap in all 9 films. It seems, though, in hindsight, that episodes 7 and 8 were very much almost like two beginnings. They were trying to do two different things with the series. And I think regardless of whether they had an all JJ trilogy, which is sort of based on nostalgia and leaning on what had come before it, or an all-new Rian Johnson trilogy, which was trying to do something different, we would have been better served. Instead, it felt a little rushed. Of course, from the trailers, we know that Palpatine is back. That didn't necessarily work for me all the time, but I think on the whole, it did a pretty decent job. So you can't complain too much. It was good, but it just wasn't great.
So for the must-play scoring system, what would you give it?
Well, I mean, if in the must-play scoring system, as a Star Wars fan, it is a must-watch. You have to watch it. But if we're having a look at where it will fit in terms of how good Star Wars has been in the past and how good it is in the present, I would say that it was the best of the... hold on. Initially, I thought it was the best of the new trilogy. But to be honest, after watching it, I still feel that The Last Jedi, controversially, was the best of the new trilogy.
Wow.
And
I'm with you.
Very controversially.
I'm with you. I like The Last Jedi
I'm
better.
not with you.
Not at all. Not at all.
No, I
sounds
think...
weird.
We're a panel
No.
divided.
I think The Rise of Skywalker was the best one.
Yeah.
I feel
What,
like
in
the
the
Rise
whole
of
lot?
No,
Skywalker...
sorry, out of the new trilogy.
Out of the new trilogy, yeah.
Yeah, I think the Rise of Skywalker went for an amazing shot. It was bottom of the ninth,
I had the most fun
bases
with it.
loaded, and the batter's just like, you know what, I'm going to throw everything at this. I'm going to throw Palpatine. I'm going to throw Lando Calrissian. I'm going to throw every ship in the universe. But ultimately, I feel like they went for a bit of an Avengers Endgame sort of scenario where everyone's coming together at the end. But because they didn't have that storyline, which was really well thought out over not only the last 3 movies, but over the 20 or so that we got with Marvel. And I know that's an odd comparison, but they're all under the House of Disney. I just feel like it was evident after watching episode 9 they didn't have a plan for this new trilogy when they released episode 7, which is completely counterintuitive to a fan. You would think that if you're going to make a new trilogy, you have a story for that.
Yeah, you'd write it from the start.
I have a feeling that they did, but then Rian Johnson came in and ruined everything. That's my
wouldn't let him. Surely they wouldn't let him ruin
No,
everything.
but can we just clear that up? He didn't ruin everything.
I'm not saying ruin, but like I feel like, well, from what I've heard is that JJ is all about mystery boxes. He set up a bunch of mystery boxes. He didn't know what was in them, but it was kind of like, I feel like they had an idea of where to go, because Star Wars does have like a story department that they all work into the books and the games and everything. So everything's canon and everything's connected. But I feel like throughout the journey of this new trilogy, things have got diluted, because they've either put trust in directors like Rian Johnson to bring the saga into a new direction that ultimately wasn't overly well received. So then they're like playing catch up, right? They're going back. Oh, well, JJ did really well, but he did the nostalgic thing, like you said, Santo. And okay, well, I feel like they had the story, but they panicked and strayed away from it.
Well, I think the other thing that put a spanner in the works was the fact that Carrie Fisher passed away, and I think she had a big role,
big time,
in the final moments.
Well, Leia's
it was
huge.
fairly obvious in this movie that they were writing around her.
Yeah.
Well, they would have had to, right? Like, and they did. It was a fairly good job of doing it, but I think because we know. Yeah. It is a little awkward in some
and we
ways,
all said this after the movie. We could accept the fact that Carrie Fisher wasn't necessarily saying lines that were relating to what she was really talking about, or what the characters were asking to.
It was so obvious that they
people
wrote
were reacting to things.
We knew that, but we could accept it.
Yeah, but I have to say,
in 30 years' time, if people are just
I think we've lost him. He's fine.
I think what he's going to say is, in 30 years' time, if people are watching the film and don't know that Carrie Fisher died halfway through it, through the making of the saga, like you probably won't know. But it's such a topic right now.
You might make us full screen.
But
again,
I have to say, we've lost Santo. Mildura has melted his Skype.
All the water got to his face.
Yeah. Well, but I have to say, like, I'm on the opposite end of, like, Santo loved it. It sounds like it. But he has a lot of, I'm like, I loved it. I loved this film. Like, it is up there with, like, and I might be just riding on this hype right now. Like, we went to an awesome event last night, the premiere, like the Australia premiere. We saw it before anyone else in the country. It was so cool. There were Jedis there. It was fantastic.
There was real Jedi, and the real R2-D2 and BB-8.
Yep. But I just walked out of it so satisfied.
Oh, you were amped.
So satisfied. Like, I wanted to jump around. I just wanted to scream to the world how much I loved it. And I'm still running on it. I'm going again to see it on Saturday. And that's a big thing, because I was a little worried, because it's a long film. What was it, like 2 hours?
It was 2:40 or something like that.
Like something huge. And it didn't feel that way at all. It's what Santo said.
Update from Santo. His phone overheated.
It did. Mildura melted his phone.
There is a real life review of the new Google Pixel or whatever the hell you got.
Oh dear.
But, so, yeah, it's a long film. To me, it didn't feel long at all.
It was very fast paced, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I really liked it. I loved how fast paced it was. I didn't feel like it was rushed, like Santo said. To me, everything fit. And it just kept moving. It kept moving.
That, I feel it's not Star Wars to do this, but they could have easily done a 2-part movie.
I'm glad they didn't.
I'm glad they didn't too.
They could have. There's
much like the I'll compare it to the last Harry Potter film.
Yeah.
There was a whole lot in that book, and they had to do it over 2 movies because there was a whole lot to it.
Yeah.
I think the pacing for me, because I'm not an uber fan, the pacing was too quick for me, because you never got to experience the moment, because they just moved on so quick that whenever something significant happened, you literally had.
There were a few. We're gonna do a little spoiler.
Yeah, we're gonna record it after this,
after the program, and we'll upload it on the weekend, just so we can
really get into this. But, well, without spoiling, I felt that I hit it though, but that might be because I'm.
There was just a couple of moments in the movie that I just wanted it to just hold on a bit longer, so you could actually get some emotion. But it is just so quick.
I got all of it. I felt it all. But I understand what you're saying. I know what you mean.
I think maybe because I'm not a huge fan. You aren't beloved of the characters. Well, I'm not as much as you guys. So I just wanted a bit more out of that. But it was just it was still 2 hours 40 minutes.
So yeah, then it blows out to 3.5 hours.
Exactly,
It's the Irishman all of a sudden.
Yeah.
But but what I wanted to say before, because of the fact that it was 2 hours and 40 minutes, and I am going to see it again on Saturday, I was a little like, oh man, that is a lot of Star Wars. And we're going to talk about your Star Wars in a second.
Yeah.
But I can't wait to see it again. I'll sit through another 2 hours and 40 of that to watch that film again. That's how much I like it.
Admittedly, I'll probably see it again too in the cinema.
Yeah, nice.
But Julesy, you've
savage.
you've already seen it twice.
He's seen it twice. 2 hours later.
Yes, Jeff, I did. I had booked my midnight screening tickets before we got invited to the premiere.
Yeah.
And my best mate and I, we go and see all the Star Wars films together. Well, at least since The Force Awakens. So we've seen The Force Awakens, Rogue One, Solo, The Last Jedi. We've been going to all of them at midnight.
It's a thing.
So I kind of... We just still wanted to go. We had to go and see this film again. And it was so great to be able to watch a film and then instantly go back and go, oh, that was that bit. Oh, this cool bit's happening again.
Yeah,
and like experience it straight after you just watched it. But admittedly, I did not offer 15 minutes.
Midnight screenings are hard.
But I didn't. It was a part that was fine, I think, to...
Well, I've sort
Would
of...
have been a
doze
quick
off.
15 minutes.
a lot happened in that 15 minutes.
so,
And I did catch myself waking up and then did a bit of a...
I was going to say, it's just a creature. It was too
Old
bad
man
at making the
Jules.
noises.
Man,
That
the
surround
surround
sound's
sound,
awesome.
yeah.
Old man Jules.
Well, I do want to ask...
Midnight's late.
I do want to ask this though, because if I was to give it a must play score, mine's a must play. Absolutely. It's
Yeah.
I'd probably 4.5 out of 5 if we're going.
It's
I'd
definitely
probably
a
give it
movie.
5.
You have to... If you like Star Wars, you just have to see this film. I think it's...
Yeah.
I don't know, and it probably is the fandom and the build up, and I read all these books, I read the comics,
And look, I don't read any of that stuff, but that movie is bloody good fun.
Yeah.
It's really good fun
That's
to
cool.
watch. So, I'd still recommend it to nearly everyone, even if they're not into it.
Well, what would your number rating be?
Probably-
should play or must play?
Probably should watch whatever we're up to. Yeah, I reckon
should
probably
watch.
should.
Yeah, it's not a play. Is it?
Yeah, should watch, I'd say.
But Jules, so you mentioned your friend Chris. After this movie, me and Chris were nerd boying all over the place. We were high fiving and oh my god, what about this part and this part and this part and this part? And I looked over at Jules, and you were just processing.
Well, because it's over.
So
Jules,
I was
it's
lost.
over. And this is, but what I want to know is, what do you rate it? How did you love it? Do you
I
where
did.
you sitting?
I absolutely loved it. But
Excellent.
But I wouldn't say it's a 10 out of 10 film by any
No,
means.
it's hard. It's hard to be a 10.
It had everything there that was... I mean, everything that's in there, I'm happy that it was there.
Yeah.
There's nothing that I regret being in the film. And I honestly can't imagine them doing it another way now that I've watched it, because it just makes sense. So I probably would give it a 7.5, maybe 8 out of 10.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Yeah.
Because I was worried when you were walking out. I was like, man,
Oh,
I
no,
hated it.
please.
I
Jules'
thought he hated
favourite
it.
child is just
Yeah, I was
finished.
like,
The run is over.
Did we just
You should
kill
have
this
heard
kid?
Chris and I in the car, on the way to the next screening.
Yeah.
Just all the, oh my god, what about this? What about this? And this happened. Oh my God.
See. Yeah, it sort of came out later. I was worried to start with.
See, I got home and told my wife. She just went, I don't care.
I did similar.
I was like, I'll go to bed then.
Beck was sleeping. I said, and she was like, was it good? And I was like, it was so good. She's like, okay.
Yeah.
But I will say, Santo brought it up with it really was two, not false starts, but Force Awakens and Last Jedi were two trips into the, you were supposed, Force Awakens was the reboot. We got A New Hope again in a different skin, which I loved. I was okay with. I had so much fun with that film. But it was it really was up to that next film to really kick off this new chapter of the thing. And because, I like Last Jedi. I question some of the choices that they made in that, but I also applaud them for it, because it was you totally went the different way that we all expected.
It took risks.
And I don't necessarily think that's the best way to go, but it was good. It was different. and whatever. But really, not a lot happened. At the end of it, we just saw that we don't have a resistance anymore. And that this book actually talks about how the resistance was formed again before Rise of Skywalker. But like as we come into Rise of Skywalker, all of a sudden there's a whole rebellion again. Like, oh, okay, cool. But like that should have been happening in that movie. I feel like a lot more should have happened in the 2 hours and 20 minutes that The Last Jedi ran for, instead of just a slow chase. Which, again, I like it. But where were we going? So it was up to this movie to tell us all. It's like you're almost telling the entire story of Poe, Finn, and Rey in one movie when we had 3 movies already. And I think that the way that they did it was really clever. Like it was fast paced. They don't mess around. But for me, it was just such a satisfying ending to this saga, to this story. And you can see, like, we can keep going with some characters. You know,
they had to set it up.
Yeah,
they had to set it up.
Yeah, there's so many Disney Plus potential shows within this movie that they don't give characters enough time that you're like, that's going to be more, or that's going to be a comic or whatever.
Well, we will record more on Star Wars.
Yeah.
I think we've got to move on to more important things.
Just quickly.
By giving away free Star Wars stuff.
Yeah.
Have a look on our Facebook page. We have put up a photo of a Star Wars prize pack that we're giving away. We've got a few to give away. It includes a Star Wars duffel bag. It's got a USB, a Stormtrooper notebook. It's got a drink tumbler.
T-shirt.
A T-shirt.
Yep.
There's a lot in there, and it's all Star Wars: The Rise of Skywalker brand. So yeah, we'd love to give one away. So have a look on our Facebook page, and we'll put it up on Instagram. And good luck. May the Force be with you.
Well, boys, we've got to talk
is
about
next?
some of the year stuff. We did tease a little bit of our game of the year stuff, and actually, that's something I want to throw out to the listeners, viewers, whatever we got. What was your game of the year this year? Because we talked about it last year,
and honestly, we probably
episode.
need some help because we think it was a bit of a dud year.
It was.
Yeah,
it was.
it was very-
Jeff has said that iTunes was the game of the year, and that's just saying how strong this year was. But before we move on to game of the year stuff, I'm a movie guy. I want to talk about some movies because there were some pretty big movies this year. If you guys just off the top of your head right now, what was your favorite film of the year?
I don't know because I don't watch Marvel. Was there another film made?
Was there anything else that came out this year other than the Disney film?
I don't know. Come back to me.
Okay.
God, I don't know.
Is it Rise?
The Rise of Skywalker is my film of the year.
Yeah.
But I have 2 special mentions.
Yep.
El Camino on Netflix.
Ooh, a Netflix film. Yeah.
That was good.
And The Avengers Endgame.
Yeah. It's funny because Endgame feels so long ago now. Like, you know, there's been so much that's happened since then.
Not long enough.
But last week when we sort of half mentioned movie of the year stuff, I was like, oh, fuck, what did I watch this movie this year? Hobbs and Shaw, that was pretty cool. But it's definitely, for me, it's Rise of Skywalker, 100%, the best film. Like, I'm running on that hype right now, so ask me in a week, that's probably more of an accurate portrayal. But I'd have to say The Joker was a very close second, because those, and Endgame's definitely up there as well, because I definitely came out of Endgame feeling very satisfied, like I did Rise of Skywalker. So
Meso's just having a look at movies.
he's looking at the movies that came out.
Because I haven't seen Joker yet.
And there's no Tarkov movie. I don't know.
Yeah, I know, that's all I do.
Skylines, the film. But the Joker and Rise of Skywalker, it's been a long time since I've walked out of a cinema feeling like I did with those films. Like the Joker is a completely different film, completely different feel. Like I don't really I can't wait to watch Rise of Skywalker again. It's going to be hard for me to watch Joker again because it was such a depressing film, but so powerful. And I just walked out feeling so like, wow, man, wow, this is what filmmaking's all about. Endgame's up there as well, but it was so long ago that it's hard for me to keep it. So those would be my 3. Definitely Rise of Skywalker up there.
Anything to add to the mix?
I think just because I'm just looking at the list here of the of movies, and to be honest, I haven't seen a lot, but I'll probably go with El Camino as well. If I think that was that's how you finish off a series, I reckon.
It was good. It was a good thing.
it was really.
It was good, especially
and
a
it made
series like of the caliber of Breaking Bad. It was just so nice to be able to know
yeah.
that Jesse was.
Jesse was okay.
And I reckon everyone after watching it felt good. They're like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a
Yeah.
good. I feel.
It was
much
a really
relieved. And
nice-
it's so stressy Breaking Bad
Yeah,
that you sort of
yeah.
feel
man.
relieved
So
and
tense.
happy for him at the end of it.
And it's another good example of a film that's quite long.
Yeah.
And like it's another wrap up. Like Endgame,
Yeah.
Rise of Skywalker, El Camino. They're all wrapping up some of the most favorite
Yeah.
IPs in like
That's-
movie and TV history.
Full of cameos as well, like
Yeah.
those two. And
So what are they going to do next year? They've wrapped up all the big things that we care about.
next year, what? I don't know what's coming out.
Well,
next
I
year.
mean, what have we got announced already? Birds
Oh,
of
the-
Prey is coming out next
Black
year.
Widow.
Black Widow. My one that I'm frothing over is 1917.
Yeah,
Which is January
That's
5,
January,
so
yeah.
that's literally like a couple of weeks away.
You know what's nice about that one is it's actually a new thing.
Yeah.
It's not a sequel. It's not
Yeah,
like
it's an original.
Yeah.
Look, we've got the new Bond film.
Bond, yeah.
No
Oh,
Time to
yeah.
Die.
Mulan.
Sonic.
Oh,
is-
Sonic.
is
I'm
coming out.
calling it, guys. It's the movie of the year. Sonic the Hedgehog.
Oh my
Who knows?
god, Top Gun Maverick.
Yeah, of course. We've got Top Gun, Wonder Woman,
it's a big year.
Disney are putting out their Mulan film. So, there's a bit coming out. But
Oh, Bad Boys,
Bad Boys
for Life.
Oh,
Yeah.
of course. Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Yeah. It's going to be huge.
Yeah.
Morbius.
So a few films coming out next year.
Godzilla versus Kong.
Of course, that's going to be up there.
Halloween Kills. Oh, yes. Okay, we'll talk about that later. Well, Game of the Year, boys.
Yeah. So we had a bit of a discussion last week, and we kind of put in our nominations for the Game of the Year. And I think the overwhelming response is that this year, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order has been our favorite game. It's our Game of the Year.
Yeah, among us, all of
Amongst
us
the
liked
four
it.
of us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think it was either the number one or at least the honourable mention for
Yeah,
all of
for
us.
all of
so,
us. Yep.
so it takes it out for us.
But
That's it.
in saying that, as Meso said at the start of the show, it's just been a bit of a slow year for games. Next year is where it's all going to happen, because not
Yeah.
only do we have Cyberpunk coming out, we've got 2 new consoles coming out,
Yep.
which is huge. And this week, Xbox did show off their Xbox Series X. They showed us what it looked like.
Huge.
Huge. It's
Is it actually
it looks like
huge?
it looks like a
Like
PC.
how big are we talking?
Like a PC.
Oh, really?
yeah. Yeah, it's big. It's a big boy.
It looks like a PC tower.
It just looks like a box.
But the
Xbox.
Xbox have said that you can turn it sideways. The Xbox Series X is what it's called at the moment. That's still not its final title, believe it or not.
And I didn't put a photo on the thingy, so
No,
you
it's-
guys
it's-
can't see.
that's fine. So we will have to wait and see what the specs are for this thing. All we know is that it's 4 times more powerful than the current
Although,
top spec Xbox.
Yeah. 4 times.
And the feature that's really caught me is that you can pause one game, open up another game, play that, go between games at the same time. That's how
Oh, you can switch apps.
the processing power of this thing is a beast.
That's nuts.
Yeah. Or you could buy a computer.
Or you can buy
Oh,
a
man,
computer.
Been
consoles.
doing it
It's
for
all
years.
there.
Yeah, it'd be interesting. I really want to see the sort of ray tracing and all that sort of stuff, because once the consoles move to ray tracing, every video game's going to have them, because computers have them at the moment, but there's not many games out that really take advantage for them. And once that ramps up, that'll be fantastic.
Yeah. That's the
Absolutely
next level, isn't it?
fantastic.
That's
Yep.
next gen stuff.
Yeah.
Exciting. I wonder what PlayStation's going to answer with, though. That's the...
Yeah,
Well, surely it'll be coming out soon.
Yeah.
They'll have some sort of photo or a controller or something like that.
Yeah, hopefully we know more.
Yeah.
Speaking of games,
Yes.
Christmas is next week.
Oh, hang
When
on,
is
let
it?
me
Wednesday?
get me.
Tuesday.
Let me get
Here's
me
something
Christmas on.
Mesa prepared earlier.
Look at that!
Christmas is next week.
Can you see how hard I worked on this?
It's
were
beautiful,
brilliant.
mate. Well done.
The man, the legend.
So
Mason.
we just wanted to quickly do something for the kids. All the parents watching home. We're parents. He's a bird dad. What games would you buy a kid? I'm thinking like 10 and under.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
A Switch.
Yeah,
Just buy him a Switch.
Yeah.
It's
Off the top, Nintendo is the kids console.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Without
There
a doubt,
isn't.
it's
There's
always been.
hardly a game on there that isn't appropriate for children.
Yeah,
Unless you give them like.
And
Don't give them
Doom.
Dark Souls.
the other one I'll do is buy them an iPad.
Yeah,
Oh.
well, especially with Apple's new arcade
Yeah.
as well. There's so many games on that for
Yep.
Yeah.
pretty cheap.
But
But
we
if-
want to keep into consoles. Like if we're talking about consoles, like one of my favorite games of this year was Luigi's Mansion, and I would definitely give that. Like if Kit was older, I would give
Yeah.
that to him.
Yeah,
in a
and that was
heartbeat.
Santo's. I think that was Santo's honourable mention. If it wasn't his game of the year,
Yeah.
just
because
from memory.
of how good it looked.
The animation, yeah,
and it's very kid friendly. Like, and I think that was the only criticism I'd actually heard of it. Was it got a little bit repetitive for like an adult, but for a kid, it's just button
Doesn't
mash.
matter,
Just keep
yeah.
going, keep going,
Doesn't
keep
matter.
going. You're doing
Yeah.
fun stuff. He's making funny noises. Oh,
Yeah.
Mario! It's it's good times. It's not too scary.
No,
Like-
it's a kids game.
Kids
It's like
shows are
Casper
like
the
that.
Friendly
Kids-
Ghost.
Yeah,
exactly.
that's right.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Nintendo also gave us games this year. Pokemon Sword and Shield.
Well,
That's
Pokemon's
massive for kids.
Pokemon's a definite that's going to be in a lot of kids'
Yeah.
Santa sack this year.
Wish
isn't it?
list. Yeah, absolutely.
I hope it's in mine.
A great one, especially for families, if you want to get involved, is Super Mario Maker 2.
Yeah, it's fun.
That's a great one to sit around and play with friends, make courses, compete with each other.
This is really advice for parents out there who are thinking of buying
this
a video
especially
game.
especially these ones because like Minecraft has always been a big
Yeah.
thing with kids, and they love to. It's using your imagination. They're creating.
Yep.
Build your own
and then they
levels.
get to play it. Like I used to love that stuff. As a
And
kid.
share
Now I
it.
couldn't be bothered.
And,
And
me,
with the power
God.
of the internet, of
and they
course.
can share it with all their mates, and their mates
Yeah.
can play levels that they made, and
Yeah.
challenge your friends and all that sort of stuff.
But you definitely got to throw in Untitled Goose Game because
Good old Aussie game.
brilliant film.
Gotta shout
Aussie.
shout out
yeah.
to Goose
And I
Game.
think it's come to PS4.
Yeah, it is.
Oh,
It is,
well, there you
yeah.
go.
I think I saw it.
But if you do have so some kids won't have a Switch, right? Their dad's got the PS4. What
Yeah.
is there any games on PS4 that you would recommend?
Well, you
for
could get
kids?
Goose Game.
Well, that's the
one game that I played this year and loved and completed it because it was that good is the Medieval remake, which is
yeah, that was always
it's in the
fun.
same
Yeah.
same category as Luigi's Mansion in terms of its spooky elements,
Yeah,
but
yeah,
it's
yeah.
not horror.
Yeah.
You know,
no, it's funny.
It's just skeletons and hands and crawling around on the ground and that sort of stuff.
But I feel like a lot of kids shows are based around horror cliches now as well. Like, I don't know any off the top of my head, but it's not like scary. That's
No,
it's
it's like
fun. Like it's
the
Adam's Family.
Yeah,
Adam's Family. Yeah.
Yes.
It's that sort of
And
fun.
they're not too difficult. It's kind of just a nice game for kids to be able to play and not
Yeah.
get overwhelmed with not being able to beat a level or something because there's always a way to get around that.
Yeah.
There's-
Yeah.
yeah.
And there's
always
not
a-
that competitive element that Fortnite has, and
True.
in those
Yeah.
in all the games we're talking about, there's none of that sort
Yeah.
of addiction
Like I would
locked to them.
I feel like you're so right. You're so right. Like it's quite dangerous how,
Yeah,
how
yeah.
competitive Fortnite can get.
Yeah.
And
Yeah,
I've
that's
got little
true.
cousins that are
And
playing bloody
Look
Call
at
of Duty.
look
That's
at
a
the
really
list
good point,
here.
actually.
None of these.
None of
that
these
sort of-
games are super addictive, and
No.
none of them have. I don't think so. No, none of these
None are
games
pay to
have
win.
in-app purchases.
Yep.
No.
There's no DLC, no subscriptions. This is just
Get it? You get the game. You get
the only thing you'll need if you have Super Mario Maker 2 is a subscription to Nintendo's online service if you want to experience levels that other people around the world have made and share your levels with them.
Yeah.
So that's probably all that.
But that's all you need it for. You do not need that to play the game.
No, you can like I said, you could make your own levels and keep playing that. And you could have
Yeah.
your brother could come in and make a level,
Yeah,
and you play his
exactly.
level.
That's it.
Yeah. And that's the point of the Switch.
Yeah.
Play
Also
together.
on PlayStation, we had the remake of Crash Team Racing,
Yeah, I
which
was
was
just
a
gonna
classic racing game.
Yeah, and that's for those kids out there that didn't get the Nintendo when they were a kid, like me, and weren't able to play bloody Mario
Kart.
Kart.
Yeah,
so you had
yeah.
to play
CTR.
Crash Team Racing.
Yeah.
It's not as good, but it's just as fun.
So
It's,
definitely Nintendo is the winner here
Yeah,
for Christmas.
Yeah.
And with the release of the Nintendo Switch Lite, it's a bit cheaper.
Yeah.
I know it's not always ideal to spend hundreds of dollars on
Yeah.
your child for Christmas, but
I think they're a bit sturdier as well. aren't
or
they?
just
These
write a
ones.
really good letter to Santa and be really good.
Yeah, if you've been good this year.
If you've been good,
But the Switch is definitely, if you got kids under 10, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah,
You got to get the Switch.
yeah.
anyway, boys,
How are we going?
that's
I think
that's
that's,
all for our Christmas list.
That's the Christmas list.
So
it
go on
means I've
by.
got to get rid of this work.
Yeah, it was beautiful, and we really
Well done,
appreciate the
Mason.
time you
Well
took
done. Yes.
to make that, Meso. Well, that's all for the show today. It was
That's all
great
for
that
the-
we could speak to Mark in Mildura in the sweltering heat and his phone overheated. And we're still buzzing off the back of Star Wars, so we're going to give you a little...
Well, James Royce is loving that Mark is braving the heat in Mildura. Don't go swimming in the Murray, that goes without saying.
Don't go swimming in the Murray. Do not.
Eaten by cod.
We'll never see him again.
All right.
But listen, well, this was our last episode for the year. We're going to be taking a break over the Christmas and New Year's break.
We will be putting out a Star Wars on the weekend, you said, Jules?
Yeah,
Yep, so-
spoiler review. for all
So
of
we
you
don't
nerds out
spoil
there.
it for you now.
Yeah.
You can watch it after you've seen the film and let us know what your thoughts are and if you agree with us or think we're a bunch of idiots. You know, it's just, I don't know which one's more likely.
Yeah, idiots.
But thank you so much. Don't forget to follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitch, Twitter. Head to mustplay.net.au for all the information that you need about us. And if you're on YouTube, subscribe to our channel. Any more plugs?
It all helps. No, it all helps.
I think it's all good. But it's been a good year, guys.
Thanks
We've
to
got a new-
Moondog for the year as well. Kept us
Moondog.
stocked. Yeah.
We've got the new studio.
Thank
Thanks,
you, Jeff, who is...
He's over there. He's the man, the legend. You never see him, but you sometimes hear him.
You do.
He loves iTunes.
He's actually
And
a
Untitled
robot.
Goose Game. Used to. Oh, yeah. Sorry, we shouldn't
Well,
bring
thank
that
you so
up.
much, Jeff. Thank you, Mark, even though you're not here. Thank you, Meso. I'm not going to thank Finesse. He's done nothing this year.
Poor finesse.
And thank you, the viewers. Thanks for
Thank
sticking
you.
with us all.
And
all
yeah,
year.
don't forget, we're giving away Star Wars prize packs over Christmas.
Yeah.
Before Christmas, you'll potentially... you would have won one, maybe, if
Yeah.
you're lucky.
Check your Facebook.
Keep looking.
All right.
All
See
right.
ya.
Goodbye.